Welcome to Whole and Healthy Cooking with Chef Val. Hi, I'm Chef Valerie Wilson. Today, I'm coming to you to answer that question that I get asked in almost every single cooking class I teach. What do you use as a healthy sugar substitute? Well, I've been teaching healthy cooking classes for 27 years, and my answer has never changed when I get asked that question. My answer is I use brown rice syrup. That's right, a beautiful sweet syrup that comes from the whole grain brown rice. Now, if you've been following me or you've attended any of my cooking classes, you know that I teach about the health benefits of brown rice a lot. It's a whole grain, it's a complex carbohydrate, it's full of antioxidants to help fight off diseases, and it's fantastic for you. So when you take that wonderful whole food brown rice and you cook it down to make a thick, sweet, sticky syrup, you get brown rice syrup. Now they do also add a koji enzyme to help break down the starches in the complex carbohydrate. And that koji enzyme is also made from brown rice. So basically, your whole brown rice organic syrup is just brown rice. Now, I get my brown rice syrup from a wonderful company called Suzanne Specialties, but there are other brands of brown rice syrup out there. Always make sure it's organic. I always emphasize organic foods, and make sure that it's made from whole brown rice and they haven't thrown any white rice in there to make it sweeter, and then it's not so healthy. But because this is a sweetener made from a whole grain, a complex carbohydrate, the sugar that is in brown rice syrup is maltose. maltose. Maltose is the least reactive sweetener sugar that there is out there. And you only get maltose from whole grains, complex carbohydrates. And that's why brown rice syrup will never spike your blood sugar level, because the sweetener in there is maltose. And the maltose is natural occurring from the whole grain. They don't add anything in there. That's another great thing about brown rice syrup. There's nothing added. There's nothing taken out. They don't use a chemical extraction process. They don't put anything in there. It's just beautiful whole organic brown rice cooked down to make this beautiful sweet syrup. Now, another whole grain sweetener is barley malt, and that's made from the whole grain barley. It has a darker brown color, and it has more of a robust kind of a molasses flavor. But because it's made from the whole grain barley malt does have gluten in it, whereas brown rice syrup has no gluten whatsoever. So this is my favorite sugar alternative. This is the healthiest sweetener you can use. And I write about it in just about every one of my 6 cookbooks. Now, if I'm going to make a dessert and I need it to be a little more sweet, because sometimes people that you're serving your food to are used to food that's made with white refined sugar, which is definitely sweeter than brown rice syrup. This doesn't have as intense sweet as white refined sugar, but it is a wonderful sweetener. So sometimes I will use my second favorite organic healthy sweetener, which is maple syrup. Now, maple syrup comes from the maple tree. They just tap the maple tree, they get that beautiful syrup out, and then they boil it. They boil it a lot so that the liquid can boil off, so they get a concentrated sweetener. And so, they've been using maple syrup for a long, long time in our human history. Of course, they don't get a lot, they get small quantities, so it's not like they're overeating it. So a lot of times in my cake recipes or my muffin recipes or my cookie recipes, I will use mostly brown rice syrup, and I'll add a little bit of maple syrup just to make it a little sweeter. It really helps with the sweetness. Very rarely do I use 100% maple syrup in my desserts because that's too intensely sweet for me. But if I was serving people that were eating the average American diet and I wanted to convince them that healthy sweeteners were delicious, I might use all maple syrup because it's going to be sweeter for them. Now, maple syrup does have some vitamins and minerals in it, and so it won't wreak havoc on your blood sugar and your body the way that white refined sugar will, okay? So again, maple syrup is my second favorite. Now there are some sweeteners that I use occasionally, usually only at Christmas time, because at Christmas time I like to indulge and I make lots of Christmas cookies and things like that. So to make a frosting, sometimes I use sucanac. Sucanac is a brown granule sweetener, and that is made from evaporated cane sugar. So along the process of making sugar, before they refine it and make it white and bleach it, it's still brown in color and it still has some vitamins and minerals in it. It has some redeeming health qualities to it, and that's called sucanac. And again, I only use it for frostings, for special occasions, because it is more sweet. And of course, if you have blood sugar issues, you have to be careful of the sucanac. Now, some other ones, molasses. If I use molasses, it's only to make like some molasses cookies. Again, for me, that's a real specialty, and it's like Christmas time. And I always make sure it's organic, blackstrap molasses, which is the least refined, right? And make sure that there's no sulfur in it. They put sulfur in there as a preservative. So you want organic, blackstrap, unsulfured molasses occasionally. And then what else do I use? I think that's about all that I personally use. Dried fruit. So I know a lot of people like dates, and they just use the whole date and they put it in a food processor, and that is a healthy sweetener. It's a little too sweet for me, a little sweet for my body to handle, but I get it. It's a healthy sweetener. You could do the same thing with raisins or apricots or figs. I do have some cookies where I put figs in there and I grind them up, and that's part of the cookie. And somehow figs, my body can handle, but dates are just a little sweeter than figs. So, you got to do what your body can handle. But by using the whole dried fruit, you're getting the fiber and you're getting the vitamins and nutrients, which is what you want. You got to have that, right? The vitamins and minerals, because you don't want empty calories. Okay. Now, absolutely not. No category are the sweeteners that are called so-called healthy sweeteners, but they're not healthy, and they're really high in fructose. What am I talking about? Agave. Agave, they use a chemical extraction process using genetically modified enzymes to create it, so it's no good. And it is about 70 to 90% fructose. High fructose corn syrup is about 55 to 60% fructose. So agave is even higher in fructose than high fructose corn syrup. Coconut sugar, high in fructose, I'm telling you. And monk fruit, high in fructose. All these things are high in fructose. So we don't want these high fructose sweeteners, because what happens is the human body does not know what to do with sweeteners that are that high in fructose. The body is like, I've never come across food that's that high in fructose ever. So I'm like confused. What should I do? So the body does not digest those high fructose sweeteners in your stomach. It gets digested in your liver. Not about you, but I want my food digested in my stomach. And so if the consumption of these high fructose sweeteners continues for a long period of time, you could run the possibility of getting a fatty liver disease, which is normally from alcohol, right? From alcohol, people indulge in alcohol, but they're finding that a lot of people who are not drinkers sometimes end up with this fatty liver disease, and maybe one of the culprits could be these high fructose sweeteners. Now, another absolute no is chemical sweeteners. Stay away from chemicals. The human body was not made to ingest chemicals. These would be any of your sweeteners that end in TOL. Xylitol, vanthithol, sorbitol. If it ends in TOL, it was created in a laboratory and it's a chemical, and stay away from it. Okay? Always stay away from it. Now, another sweetener that some people like to turn to is stevia. I'm not a fan of stevia. Stevia is 300 times sweeter than white refined sugar. Even though stevia claims there is no fructose in stevia, again, the human body does not know what to do with something that is 300 times sweeter than white refined sugar. So it gets digested in the liver, just like the high fructose foods. Okay? So I'm not a fan of stevia. Don't like that one either. Again, I've been teaching classes for 27 years. I've been cooking and creating recipes for a long time. I always use my brown rice syrup. So my answer to the question is, what is the healthiest all-natural sweetener we can use as a substitute for white refined sugar? Brown rice syrup. Well, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. For more information about all I offer, go to macroval.com. And for now, get in the kitchen and cook healthy.